Something is wrong here. Vecna doesn't stop for anything. He crushes, bends, and breaks whatever stands in his way. But in this moment, he freezes. His steps slow. His eyes shift. He looks at the dark cave ahead of him like it's the one place in the upside down he cannot control. A place that makes even a monster hesitate. And the question is, why? What is inside this cave that could frighten the most powerful creature in Stranger Things? Vecna moves through the upside down like the world belongs to him. Nothing scares him anymore, not humans, not demogorgons, not the endless red storms that tear across the sky. He created his own twisted kingdom from the ruins of Hawkins, and he walks through it without fear. But then he reaches the cave. The air shifts. The vines pull back as if something deeper in the dark is breathing. The sound is low, almost too quiet to notice, like a heartbeat hidden under layers of earth. And suddenly, Vecna slows down. He has never shown uncertainty before. He stands tall, calm, and cruel in every scene. But here, his body tenses for the first time. The cave doesn't just look dark, it looks ancient, older than the upside down itself. The ground near the entrance isn't like the rest of the red, cracked terrain. It's softer, pulsing, as if the earth is alive and watching him. Vecna knows this place, not because he has been here, but because he can feel something inside it, something that seems to push back against him, like a force that doesn't bend to his will. For all his power, Vecna depends on control. He enters people's minds, twists their memories, and shapes the upside down with pure thought. But the moment he approaches the cave, that invisible control slips. His connection to the Mind Flayer particles in the air becomes weaker. The floating dust that usually moves toward him actually drifts away from the cave, almost like it's avoiding something inside. That is the first real sign. Whatever is in there is not a friend of Vecna's. The cave walls are not smooth rock. They are covered in thick layers of dark, hardened growth that looks older than anything else we've seen. The shape of the opening almost resembles a giant mouth frozen in place, with sharp edges curving inward. When the faint whine moves through it, the tunnel gives off a low, distant echo that doesn't match the size of the entrance. It sounds deeper, much deeper. Too deep. And Vecna knows depth. He knows every corner of his world. But this is the one part of the upside down he has never stepped into. A blind spot. A place he cannot see into with his mind. And for someone like Vecna, not being able to see means not being able to control. That alone is enough to make him pause. He inches closer, but the vines around his arms and legs react strangely. They twitch, pull back, and tense up, as if warning him. These vines usually act like extensions of his body. They move when he wants them to move. But right now, they are acting on their own. Something inside the cave is disturbing the connection between Vecna and the upside down. Something strong enough to make the entire network of vines respond with hesitation. Vecna senses more than fear inside himself. He senses memory. The cave doesn't look like any place he's seen before, yet something about its shape triggers an old, buried feeling. Something from his human life, from long before he became the monster he is now. A moment from childhood, dark and painful, flickers in his mind. And that flicker alone is enough to shake him. Because Vecna does not like remembering who he was. Henry Creel. The cave pulls at him the same way the basement of his old house once did. A place filled with secrets he didn't want to face. A place where he transformed from a quiet boy into something broken. This cave reminds him of that moment. A moment when he wasn't in control. And if there's one thing Vecna hates above all else, it's losing control. So Vecna stops. Not because he chooses to, but because the cave forces him to. He stands at the entrance, staring into the shadows that stretch far beyond sight. He could go in. He has the power. But something inside tells him this is not the time. Not the moment. Not yet. And as he turns away, the darkness inside the cave moves slowly like something shifting in its sleep. The upside down bends to Vecna's will. Every vine, every floating particle, Every living creature reacts to his presence. But the closer he gets to the cave, the more the world begins to behave differently, as if the rules he created do not apply here. The vines that crawl across the ground stop at the cave entrance, almost like soldiers refusing to cross an invisible border. They stretch toward it, but they don't enter. That alone tells a silent truth. This cave does not belong to Vecna. It never did. What makes it even stranger is the air. Normally, the upside down feels heavy, thick with a quiet buzzing sound everywhere. But near the cave, the air becomes still. Too still. It's almost peaceful in a wrong kind of way, like the calm that sits right before a storm tears everything apart. Even the red lightning that flashes across the skies avoids the space above the cave. It curves around it like something up there is forcing the storm to stay away. Vecna, who is used to being the storm, feels that difference instantly. He steps closer again, testing the strange boundary. The ground shifts under his feet, reacting like muscle instead of soil. It feels alive, but not in the same way the rest of the upside down does. This life feels older, colder, quiet, but powerful. Like something ancient is buried beneath the rock and vines. He narrows his eyes, trying to access the hive mind, his network of thoughts that lets him see everywhere at once. Usually, he can send his consciousness outward like a shadow stretching over miles. But as soon as he focuses his mind toward the cave, something blocks him. Not a creature, not a barrier of vines. Something invisible. Something that pushes him back, almost like a hand pressing against his thoughts. It doesn't attack him. It doesn't try to hurt him. It simply refuses to let him in. Vecna is not used to refusals. He is used to breaking through walls like they are paper. But this time, the resistance is different. It is calm. It is steady. It is strong enough to stop him, and that alone makes him uneasy. A part of him almost recognizes the strength, not as an enemy, but as something equal. He leans in closer. The dark tunnel swallows the light behind him. Inside the cave, the walls throb with a slow pulse, faint but steady. It almost seems like the cave itself has a heartbeat. That heartbeat matches a rhythm he hasn't heard in a very long time, something from before he turned into Vecna, from when he was still Henry, something that used to make him uneasy even as a child, the silent hum of something powerful that waited in the dark. Watching him before he ever knew what the upside down was, this place makes him feel like he is being watched again. Not by the heroes, not by Hawkins, but by something that has been here much longer than him. Something that did not need to be created by him or controlled by him. Something that may have existed long before the upside down took its shape. For the first time, he is not sure if the upside down was truly his creation or if he only shaped it after discovering something that was already alive. The deeper he looks into the cave, the more he senses layers beneath the ground. It reminds him of veins running through a body, connecting to a center he cannot reach. It's like this cave is not just a cave. It's a doorway, a root, a core, a place the upside down grows out from. But if that's true, then something must be at the center of it. Something that sleeps in the dark. Vecna takes one final step forward, and instantly the echo inside the cave shifts. It grows louder, sharper, not like a growl, not like a creature moving. It sounds like breathing. Slow, steady breathing that has been going on for years, maybe centuries. The breath of something that has never woken up fully but is aware enough to sense him standing at its door. That is when Vecna feels something he cannot explain. Not fear in the way humans understand it. Not panic, but a warning. A warning so old and so clear that even he, the monster who mastered fear, understands it. It's a voice without sound, a pressure without shape, whispering one simple message. What if this cave is not just a place he avoids, but the only proof that he is not the true master of the upside down? Think about how he became Vecna. He fell into another world, broken and burned, and something in that red, twisted sky noticed him. The strange cloud of particles that later formed the Mind Flayer did not come from him. He shaped it, used it, turned it into a weapon, but he did not make it. That means there was already a power here before Henry Creel ever arrived. This cave feels like the birthplace of that power. Not the lair of Vecna, but the root of the Mind Flayer's original source. Or maybe something even older that both Vecna and the Mind Flayer come from. That's why the air around it changes. That's why the hive mind goes silent near its mouth. The network that usually carries Vecna's thoughts simply refuses to cross that line. As if it is scared of reconnecting with whatever lives at the center. Now picture Vecna standing at the edge, feeling that heartbeat in the ground and that slow breathing from the deep. He realizes something important, and it terrifies him more than any army from Hawkins could. If this cave is the core, then this is the one place where his power means nothing. If he steps in and the thing inside does not like him, there is no backup plan, no escape, no mental trick he can use. He is used to being the one who invades other minds, who crushes memories and reshapes people from the inside. But here, he is the one who might be read like an open book. The cave. But the fear inside him isn't only about power. It's also about the past. The shape of the cave, the way the tunnel curves down, the way the darkness seems thick and heavy, all of it pulls at the buried parts of his mind. It reminds him of the nights in the Creel house basement, when he would stand alone in the shadows, listening to the quiet ticking of the clock, feeling like something was watching him even then. As a boy, Henry believed he was different from everyone else, and he was right. He felt connected to something invisible, something that whispered to him about how broken the world was. Standing before the cave, that same whisper comes back, but now it isn't praising him. It isn't telling him he is chosen or special. It is asking a painful question. Did you really discover me? Or did I discover you? This is where his fear becomes personal. If the cave is the original mind behind the Upside Down, then maybe Henry did not shape this place from nothing. Maybe he was guided. Maybe he was pushed. Maybe the Upside Down didn't simply react to him, it called him. That means all the power he believes is his own might only be borrowed. And borrowed power can be taken back. That thought cuts deeper than any wound. It attacks the one thing Vecna protects more than anything else, his story. In his mind, he is the first, the visionary, the one who saw the truth about humanity and rose above it. But the cave suggests another version of the story. One where Henry Creel was just the perfect tool. The perfect broken child found and used by an older force that wanted a face, a voice, a shape. So when Vecna steps back from the entrance, it isn't just because of some giant monster hiding in the dark. It's because walking into that cave might mean learning he was never the main villain of this world. He could be just another piece on the board, another puppet, another servant. And that is a fear worse than death for someone like him. The strongest monster in Stranger Things is not scared of pain, not scared of fighting, not scared of the heroes from Hawkins. He is scared of being small again. He is scared of realizing that the cave, and whatever it holds, has always been above him, watching and waiting, letting him believe he was in control when he never really was. There is a moment, right after Vecna turns away from the cave, where the air behind him shifts again. Almost like something inside the cave exhales not a warning this time, but a release. As if whatever was watching him has decided to stay silent. For now, and that silence is the most dangerous part of all. Because silence means patience. Silence means intelligence. Silence means the thing in the cave is not just a monster, it is something that chooses when to wake and when to wait. And beings like that only rise when the world is ready to break. Vecna understands this too well. He built his entire plan around timing. He waited years for the right minds to enter, the right weaknesses to appear. But whatever is in the cave has been waiting far longer than him. Centuries, maybe. Perhaps even before Hawkins existed. And now Vecna realizes a terrifying truth. It is not sleeping. It is listening. Every vibration in the ground, every movement in the vines, every shift in the hive mind reaches this cave like whispers in a dark room. This unknown heart of the Upside Down is aware of everything, even him. As Vecna walks away, the pressure he felt earlier slowly fades, but the questions grow louder. He can destroy humans. He can break minds. He can manipulate the Mind Flayer like a puppet on strings. Yet this cave didn't resist his power, it ignored it. That is a type of power he has never faced before. A power so deep that it does not need to fight him to prove dominance. It simply waits. And Vecna knows this kind of stillness usually hides one thing: potential. The potential for destruction so massive that it doesn't need to show itself until the perfect moment. But the true terror hits him when he considers something he has never dared to admit. What if this cave is connected to the moment he arrived in the Upside Down? When he fell through that dimension tier years ago, burned and broken, the world around him began to twist into shapes he recognized: his memories, his fears, his anger. He always believed he was shaping the world into something that reflected him. But what if, instead, this world was shaping itself around him, using him, copying pieces of him to build a body for the force inside the cave? That possibility scares him in a way he cannot show or accept. Because if that is true, then he is not the source. He is a reflection, a puppet mimicking his master without realizing it. The shape of the Mind Flayer, the vines, the way the Upside Down bends to thought, maybe all of it is an echo of something inside the cave choosing him as a vessel. It makes sense in a way he doesn't want to believe. Why else would the Upside Down freeze in the exact form of 1983 Hawkins? Why else would the particles form into the Mind Flayer the moment Henry Creel's mind connected to them? Not because he created something new, but because the being inside the cave was waiting for a mind dark enough, desperate enough, angry enough to understand it. And if that being chose him once, it could choose someone else again. Maybe the cave isn't a prison or a nest. Maybe it is a birthplace, a place where something ancient molds minds into weapons. Vecna may only be the first successful one. The thought of not being unique, not being the ultimate evolution he believes himself to be, digs into him like a knife. What if he is only one version of what this cave can create? What if the next one is stronger, smarter, more obedient? That is why Vecna refuses to step inside. Not because he's scared of dying, but because he is scared of learning the truth. He might not be the future of the Upside Down. He might be a mistake, an experiment, a beginning, and the cave might be preparing an ending. As he disappears into the mist of the Upside Down, the cave remains still. But deep inside, something shifts, slow, careful, like a giant eye opening for the first time in years, sensing the change in the air, aware that the final battle is coming. Vecna thinks he is the greatest threat to Hawkins. But Hawkins may not be the final target. The thing in the cave has waited long enough, and the noise Vecna has made across both worlds may be the signal it needed. One day, it will wake. One day, it will rise. And Vecna will not be its master. He will be its warning.